Blood types predict individualized diseases and susceptibilities. So I talked a little bit about this already, but there's a blood type that's associated more with cancer, which would be a little bit more blood type A. Doesn't mean that you're going to get it by any means. It means if you have the perfect storm going on, you're more likely to get it, and if you do get it, we need to kind of prevent that more and make sure you're not going to get it again and make sure it doesn't happen. There's ones that are more associated with artery disease, more with inflammation, more with depression, more with diabetes, and more with thyroid. So if I have a little kid in here and I measure their leg length, and I know they're blood type A and they have a long leg length, this upper leg length, I know that they might have a predisposition for prostate cancer. So I can start working when they were in their teens or young adulthood so they prevent the prostate cancer later on. That's the kind of stuff, and that's what we do here. That's the important stuff about preventative medicine. They influence how you get diseases and stuff like that from a historical perspective. You know, there's certain blood types that, blood type A, for example, if you got like the plague or cholera, I can't even think of the word, cholera, you're more likely to have massive side effects from that disease if you're a blood type A compared to blood type O. The same thing with the H1N1 virus. Now, it escaped me what blood type was. If you got the H1N1 virus, was it a swine flu? Like, was that 5 years ago? 6 years ago, something like that was going around?
2009.
2009. If you have one blood type, you're more predisposed to get it, and if you do get it, it's going to be a harder time for your body to fight. So it's a balancing act of what's going on, and if I know that, and it's flu season, and I need to make sure that you are taking all the preventative measures that you can so you don't get the flu. And I'm not talking about vaccines, I'm talking about natural food, vitamins, minerals, etc. And the last point is they tell us a lot about early history, or the humans, your ancestry, where you come from. The blood groups are very kind of ancient lines of, you can see where area they came from. Migration patterns and what they were eating, dietary, and how you're shaped, it all has to do with blood type. I think it's a pretty interesting thing that you can look at one certain set of blood groups and you can say, oh, you're blood type B, you're generally coming from this area and you have this kind of skull features and this lower leg and you're more built this way and you're a little bit more worried about this disease, just based on blood type. And we kind of be like, oh, you're coming from this general geographic region. And that's kind of what that 23andMe test was going on. They used to be able to run the 23andMe test and tell you where you're going with that. They canceled that, or they stopped doing that lately because the FDA kind of jumped in. But that's going off of the blood type information. And actually, on a side note, the 23andMe test, we're actually making a new computer program now where we take that 23andMe data and give you all that information get all your blood types from there, all 295 of your blood types from the 23andMe data, your methylation patterns, all that good stuff, and tell you natural things that we can do to influence those genes. That's done the work. We're about 85% done with that. I was just talking to Dr. Diadamo earlier today about that.
Sorry, yep. Did you say that my understanding is 23andMe is still going. What they can't do is they can't provide interpretive information.
Correct.
They're still doing the test.
They're still doing the test.
But are you saying that you do the interpretive
We
stuff?
will be, yes.
You will.
We're about, like I said, about 80 or so % done with this program, and the program that we're writing is very, very specific because we're, the other programs out there that crunch the data is very, they only crunch it's SNPs. They only crunch 80 SNPs. We're crunching 600 and making it relevant with research backing it up, saying you have this SNP and you have this condition, you have this neurotransmitter out of whack, chemical in the brain. We need to make sure that this is working properly.
So you're doing your own test. You're not just interpreting.
We'll be interpreting the 23andMe data, using that data, and then interpreting that with all that good information.
Okay.
So yes, that's coming out very, very soon. So a quick summary on the blood types. Blood type O. I'm a blood type. We're kind of the ancient blood line. We don't have an A or B on our cells. And what that means is we're very inflammatory beings. We get something, we get sick, we have a lot of inflammation in our body as blood type O's. With that being said, a lot of the inflammation, blood type O's have a hard time dealing with adrenaline, which is that get up and go hormone. This means I want to go kayaking right now, I want to do a keto, I have all this energy and I can't break it down. That's why it's very important for a blood type O to go out there and exercise. Aerobic exercise, weightlifting, it's going to be very important for these blood type O's because they need to bring that adrenaline level back down so you can get kind of back down to normal levels. When I don't do a keto, 3 times a week, my energy is, I'm not doing good. It's, my brain starts going and I can't calm it down. It's just not a great thing for me. Blood type O, I'm a blood type. We're kind of the ancient blood line. We don't have an A or B on our cells. And with that being said, a lot of the inflammation, blood type O's have a hard time dealing with adrenaline, which is that get up and go hormone. This means I want to go kayaking right now, I want to do a keto, I have all this energy and I can't break it down. That's why it's very important for a blood type O to go out there and exercise. When I don't do a keto, 3 times a week, my energy is, I'm not doing good. It's, my brain starts going and I can't calm it down. It's just not a great thing for me. Generally speaking, blood type O, if you're a blood type O, which that's pretty much 50% of the population, for 40-something% of the population, depending on your ethnicity, you want to avoid wheat. If you're blood type O, you want to avoid wheat. Not gluten, I said wheat. So wheat is the thing that's bad for blood type O's. So a lot of times, blood type O's can actually have rye, they can have spelt, they can have some of the other older grains, but they can't have wheat. And that's because blood type O's have a problem with this hyper-inflammatory, this high immune system. It likes to attack itself. So when it likes to attack itself, you get autoimmune conditions. And a very common thing with blood type O's is thyroid disorders. They have a lot of Hashimoto's thyroiditis, if you've heard that before, or any like Sjogren's syndrome, or any of those autoimmune diseases. Blood type O's are more predisposed to that because of their revved up immune system. So if I had to say two things about blood type O's, make sure you're exercising and avoiding wheat. And that would be very, very, very beneficial for you. And actually,
Did you say avoid red meat?
No, I said avoid wheat and exercise.
Yeah, okay. For a minute I thought I heard red meat.
No.
Avoid meat.
That'd be opposite of what I'm saying. Yeah. Blood things from if you want to think of it from that period, because I was just watching Mad Men, I guess, a little bit ago. But from that move into kind of that farmer life into the urban society. So it's going to be a little bit more, grains are going to be a little bit better for you. And fish is going to be a little bit better because you're around the seas and the oceans at this point. And it's, the way that they deal with stress as a blood type A is they have a problem with cortisol, which is that stress hormone. So when a blood type A gets stressed, what happens is it spikes this cortisol hormone and it stays up here at this nice plateau level where you don't want it. And we need to get that stress hormone down because if you have a lot of this cortisol in you, you can put on weight, you can have water retention, you have inflammation, etc., etc. So the best way to get this down, and this is what Dr. D'Adamo's father originally was investigating before Peter D'Adamo wrote the book, was yoga, tai chi, more of these calming exercises, more of these relaxing ones. That doesn't mean that you can't go out there as a blood type A and get your aerobic activity or aerobic exercise. You just need to balance it out. And a lot of times when people come to see me and they're blood type A and they're like, yeah, I'm in the gym 5 days a week and I'm pumping iron, I'm sweating a lot, I'm not losing weight, and my muscle mass is not really changing too much. I'm like, well, that's probably because you need those calming exercises to pull down that cortisol a little bit. And you pull down that cortisol with the yoga, the tai chi, and then do the aerobic exercise the next day and some weights done later in the week, they start losing weight. So it's very important in that sense. Generally, blood type A's do better on a Mediterranean-ish diet, with fish and maybe turkey and some good beans and legumes and vegetables and stuff like that. So these are people that usually do better with a vegetarian or vegan-esque kind of diet. Blood type B's. Blood type B's are generally from I always think of India when I think of blood type B's. So India, the Middle East. It's kind of where blood type B's originally originated from. And the most important thing with blood type B, if you don't get anything else from this lecture, if you know someone who's blood type B or you're blood type B yourself, make sure you avoid chicken. I have so many people come to me with blood type B, they have chronic ring, that was actually the first time I heard of blood type diet. They have chronic ring in their ears. My sister actually said, before I even knew anything about this, I read somewhere at one point if you're blood type B and you eat chicken, you should probably stop that. It's that's a bunch of hogwash, whatever. Then it was my sister's, I guess it was my sister's brother-in-law. He finally gave up chicken and the chronic ringing in his ear went away. It was 2 weeks later, it was that instant. I'm like, that's pretty cool. And she told me this after when I started working here, which was weird. But it was really cool. Never knew anything about that. Generally blood type B's have a problem with nitrogen oxide. So that's that thing in the car, too fast, too furious, you hit the button, it makes your car go really fast. Blood type B's have a problem with making this. So that means that they have hypertension, they can't relax those vessels with that nitrogen oxide because they don't have any of it. That can lead into heart conditions, that can also lead to erectile dysfunction or anything along those lines. So it's important for these individuals to know that and prevent that so you don't have any of these long-term consequences. Also, along with the blood type B's, the best thing that they can do is actually meditation. Because blood type B's have the same problem with that cortisol hormone. So blood type B's, the best thing that you can do is meditate 5 minutes a day at your work, sitting down, do some breathing, and that's it. That'll help bring down their blood pressure a lot. There's we have a certain population that comes in here, a lot from the city, because Dr. D'Adamo's practice was originally in Brooklyn, and we came here farther and farther away from the city, actually. We have a certain religious group that always come to see us, and they have blood pressures like 210 plus. And this is normal. They're on 3 different blood pressure medications. And, you know, no one can control it. The Alpacs can't control it. Nothing happened. They come here and we tell them to do meditation, and it starts to relax. Guided meditation if they're blood type AB, and it starts to come down. And it's one of those very important things. Blood type AB is kind of the new blood type. It's the one out there that's a mixture between A and B, and it's a very, it's a more restricted blood type because you can't have the foods that blood type A can, and you can't have the foods that blood type B can. So it's a mixture kind of like an O diet with a little bit more vegetarian base. They do usually have a little bit more dairy, which is nice because blood type O's can't really have much dairy. It's, you know, since you have that B antigen, avoiding chicken is very important. And these people are usually more sensitive. So you ever meet one of those friends, I know there's a ton of medical students across the way, who if they are blood type AB and they walk into a room and there's a person wearing cologne, in my office right over there, someone wearing cologne or someone upstairs or something like that, they're going to smell, they're going to get a headache, they're going to get a migraine, they're going to get diarrhea, they're going to be sensitive to that. And it's usually interesting, they're blood type ABs and they're more sensitive to that kind of stuff. So we need to prevent that kind of stuff. We need to take out that trash, make sure we're increasing vitality, and making sure that we're giving the body what it needs from these individuals. Blood type ABs actually are more along the lines of blood type O's, so that adrenaline, get up, fight, and flight response. So we need to calm that down. And the best way we can do that with blood type ABs is like guided meditation actually. So not the exercise, but guided meditation for blood type AB.